One more. Play a different drum there, Lansing. Play a different drum.
Well, I think they're all patient about this thing.
Yeah. Folks, welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show here at the Skull Valley Lavender Farm, Skull Valley, Arizona, joined by a healing drummer. My man, Lansing Day, welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here in this beautiful, beautiful farm.
Thank you. It's great to have you here. Can you talk about working with people that have been affected by the law and how rhythm can be liberating for them, and how you've seen it firsthand?
Absolutely. So I just came from a program over here in Prescott. Youth, some teens that are in court-ordered probation and meet to talk through life issues. And I was invited to come play and lead a circle. I just came from that today. And there were 3 youth present and 2 adults. And the way we move into it is just to invite freedom to happen. So invite complete openness and a feeling of safety, which is primary. So I come in, the minute I step into the space, I'm radiating that feeling of, okay, you know, cool, happiness and non-judgment. And we go from there, just starting on the beats. The beats are very powerful in themselves. We typically start with a straight pulse beat, and once we're all sort of more or less moving together in the pulse beat, then I just call out, make up your own, and that's where the freedom starts to blossom.
You keep using that word, but they're in jail. They're not in jail.
No, these are not. So
and so I mean, this was the first time you did this today, or you?
This is the first time with this particular group in Prescott. Yes. So this is actually the second meeting. We've arranged that each month I'll come to the program, either with the Cottonwood youth, which I did last month, or with the Prescott youth. So this is something that I picked up a number of years ago working in a max secure prison for youth out in the Ithaca area, and I was there about 7 years. Started out as literacy volunteer and working one-on-one, turned into a men's drumming group where we drummed together, a group of about 4 or 5, and then we talked about men's issues such as banking, just life skills.
Banking?
All kinds of
stuff.
I bet. All kinds of stuff. Relationships, women, family relationships, challenges they were facing. And,
yeah. I mean, Lansing. Let's. Will, you're going to play the? Let's keep humming along here on the Jake Feinberg Show with Lansing Day and Will Duncan, live from the Skull Valley Lavender Farm here.
Great.
It's an honor. Thank you, brother. That was an honor, Will.
All right, yeah, cool.
Lansing, can you talk a little bit about the your teacher that you had, your first teacher in the early '90s?
Sure. Yes. This is in Ithaca, New York, in 1992, and it was Maurice Haltom, who is still in Ithaca, and he's a a master, a black belt in kung fu, and taught Tai Chi, Qi Gong, African dance, and African drumming. And I came in to learn African drumming then, and was really exciting learning from him. Very open guy, letting us kind of explore a bit, but bringing us back, to the traditional cultural part playing of African music, and that was challenging.
Right, because it does seem complex, but it's actually everybody playing a little counter. They're just playing their own part. It all fits together.
Exactly.
So it's seemingly completely complex, but then you break down those polyrhythms, and each person has their own role.
Exactly. Yes.
I mean, have you been to the motherland?
Have not. No. There's
not Greece or Rome. I'm talking, Africa.
The motherland. Yes, Africa, where we all.
I mean, is it a place you desire to go?
Actually, I desire to go to Greece. I'd love to go where
very authentic
Homer was. So get in the ocean and walk on the land myself. But there's a man actually, a man named Michael Marcus that anyone can search on, and he was there at Ithaca College, majoring in percussion, and was in those beginning classes with me as an advanced player. And he was a great inspiration. He's one who did cross the puddle and actually transitioned to playing like an African, as an African, even though he was not African born. This is really unusual.
Can you explain how that happened, that transformation occurred?
He'd have to tell that story himself.
Okay.
I don't know how it happened, but I'm told it's pretty unusual to be able to make that jump. A native would, of course, be just absolutely bathed, literally from the very beginning, and in those rhythms, and be playing at a very young age. But he crossed over and now teaches, and Michael Marcus, Markus. Anyone can check him out. Sorry,
no,
CUS, I think it might be.
I mean, if you could just talk to the audience a little bit about, the internal rhythm in your, like, everybody has their own internal rhythm. I've learned on this journey that, I can play traps. You don't need to. I'm not going to be Elvin Jones. But you can, if you can keep tempo, or you can keep a groove.
Yes. And
I think a lot of people say, I don't have rhythm. Everybody has rhythm. You just may have bad rhythm. But you just talk about the individuality of rhythm and how you let the body dance.
Right. Yeah, good question. So, yes, we all have our own natural rhythmic life that comes out in the way we move, in the way we walk.
Right.
In my experience, over the 12 years I've done my program, doing circles with all ages, in all circumstances, whether it's a business, school group, elders and assisted living and memory care, is that when individuals are invited to be completely free, and this is really important, invited to be completely free and to let the body speak as it wishes to speak, then that rhythm can come out.
Mm-hmm.
The hook is, the block is that in our Western culture, we have certain rhythmic forms that are typically put out there as the way we should be speaking together, the way we should be conversing. For example, 3/4 time. The 3/4 time is interesting in that my experience is that in my studying and my playing is that 3/4 time is a natural rhythm of 6, which is cut in half. And this is a little bit hard to explain. I won't go too deep into it, except that when you're walking 3/4 time, let's say in a waltz form, in the experience of waltz, the flow feeling really is a 6-step rather than a 3-step. You're leading, the man is leading, stepping out with the right foot, the woman stepping back with the left foot. The patterns of 3 and 3, which makes 6, leading with opposite feet in each of those patterns, has a certain experience. However, the flow feeling, in my experience of actually waltzing, because I've done that some, and playing music, is it's really in 6. The natural flow feeling is really a 6 feel rather than a 3 feel. So we started today. Before we played,
you're playing triplets.
Yeah, before we played, I just basically said we're going to 2/4 or 6/8. What we'd like to do, we started with 2/4. So 2/4, 2 is a 2-step, right? Which we've sort of made into. Well, we have 2/4 and we have 4/4. Well, what I found out actually in studying is that 4/4 doesn't really exist. In that.
This is a Western
it's a Western thing. Now, fascinating thing about 2 is
right.
When we're stepping, we're walking simply in the 2-step. We've completed a cycle. We've completed a left brain, right brain, gross motor movement, cycle. And the core really is 2-step. So what's fascinating about this is when we really lock into the 2-step feeling in our playing, we get experience of a conversation, a relationship between the 2. So we have a 2 calling to a 2. And I can think now of some African drumming parts that I played where.
Could you demonstrate, or
I can just do it in the air. I'll do it with my voice.
Sure.
Like goon goon da 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 doon doon da 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 doon doon da 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 doon doon. So the doon doon, the bass of that particular song is the home bass. It's where the grounding is. But the life of the song, the jump where the dancers are springboarding off, really is in the middle tone. So goon doon da 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 da. So that last little jump. So there we have the 2 calling to the 2. Clearly, the grounding of 2, again, 2-step grounding, speaking with this other part, which is then this electric part, which is the springboard. So I think those are, you began the question with what are the core rhythms, and I think 2-step, because we have the experience of walking, we all are bilateral and walk, simply flow and walking. The flow and walking is a 2. Now the 6 is another whole story. I don't know if you want to get into that.
Well, no, let me.
That's pretty fascinating.
Lansing, let me. No, we're having a ball here.
Sure.
What did you ever have you played a trap set before?
I have not. No.
So I mean, I want you to talk. Bill Summers. Do you know Bill Summers?
I do not.
Okay, so he's a master percussionist. Played with Herbie Hancock's Headhunters, among others. He's a monster, great percussionist. He said that he refers to that the industry refers to percussionists as the N-word. Meaning that they've rhythm in this country has always been distrusted, going back to the days of diaspora, going back to the days of Congo Square, because it's so liberating. Okay, you talk about freedom. Okay, but as we lurch more towards autocracy, as we lurch towards more type of a police state mentality, in my view, the automation of drums to sound like machine parts has hurt the cosmic evolution of people.
Absolutely.
Okay? And I'd like you to riff on that. If you agree with that thesis,
Absolutely.
or I'm writing a book about it, can you riff on that?
Intelligence.
Okay, and that's we're not there yet.
Yeah.
But you see this callousness enveloping. On top of the fact that people are internally taking in music now much more, you are really the granddad of drum circles. But those in some ways are for a different generation. But I do want you to talk about this automation and as it relates to the cadence of our time.
Yes. Good. Yeah, that's a really important question. I have a good friend back in Ithaca who is a jazz clarinetist, and he composes the most beautiful symphonic, new age, healing music on MIDI, right? On MIDI. And so we have this conversation. Well, how do you do that? Well, we need the click track. We need a machine in the garden. We need to have the machine there, and that's why I describe it, the machine in the garden. So we need the click track, and then we can get all of these elements, these sampler elements, and my own composition and so forth together. So we have this discussion. So the click track really is, I think, where the danger is when click track mechanical time is the timekeeper piece. It's machine. So as opposed to the machine is the natural, flexible, flexibly tempoed heartbeat. So the heartbeat, if we go to the heartbeat is our grounding, and
the biochemical individuality of each human rhythm, each human being, each human heart.
Exactly.
It doesn't come out of your arms and shoulders.
Exactly.
So what you guys were doing was coming from your heartbeat. You know, and
Right.
you know, my show has become about rhythm,
Right.
and rhythm is love.
Thank you.
And I just want you to talk about the lineage. You know, what are the things that when you set out to inspire people rhythmically, what are the most important things? Is it to touch people's hearts?
Most important thing.
It can be a list. It doesn't have to be one thing, you know.
Well, just to speak a bit about what happened when we were drumming together.
Yeah.
So we started out playing two, and so we'd already kind of like tilled the ground. We'd kind of warmed the soil with that relationship and setting a very common step. And as I simply was playing a high pitch and a lower pitch, simply 2 and 2, as we started there, and that got us on. You might say got our hearts and our consciousness flowing together in
simpatico.
Entrainment.
Yeah.
That's the word. Entrainment. So we got our energies to entrain. Where we went next was when I switched drums, and he got the djembe out. Was we then began to go into polyrhythm. We already had the 2 laid down. We had the 2 feeling laid down. Now, once the 2 is laid down, you can get into the 6th, and this is where the fascinating thing happens. You can begin to cut 6 time against 2, and you can cut it and cut it and cut it. Now, I remember in playing cultural African music is the junjun. Is way down there. The 6 is cut way down. So the djembe part may be going da 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 do do da do da do do da, and the junjun's going chkin, 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 like that. So the junjun is actually in that 6 space, but cut. I don't know how many times, just cut and cut. The 6 is cut way down, and you got the super fast, cranked up, master drummer, and that rest supporting the djembe part. So that's a good example of where you can go. So just to bring us down to earth, where I just was today, we started with that same thing. We just got right into 2, and all of us in the group had the frame drum, and I showed them how to get the 2 pitches, and we just locked into the 2. And then as our session went, I added in to again, bring that into the conscious field that we were building together. Like we did together just now, is cutting that time and getting some crazy stuff until finally we just like ready to fly, and it's like whoa, okay, there's a next place to go. So that's kind of a roundabout answer.
Well, where do these cats that you inspired today? I mean, how do they follow up on this?
Non-drummers. So I'm always walking into a non-drummer circle.
So these cats can't carry it over unless they go out and have the intuition, or they're inspired to go buy their own instruments.
That's a pathway to study African drumming, and like as I did, discipline yourself to learn the three tones and make them distinct, and the 3 voices, the slap, the middle tone, and the bass tone. However, what I always like to leave with groups are very, very simple ways to take the rhythm experience and this core 2, for example, into their everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I bring out the topic of the most important rhythm you do is to breathe. So the 1-2, your inhale is your 1, and a beautiful kind of rumble, if you can imagine, kind of a rumble in, breathing in through your nose, and then exhaling through your nose, through your mouth. So you can actually get a pitch. A sniff pitch, sniffing, gives you a certain pitch, and then the exhale out, in my experience, is a lower pitch. So you can have that pitch element. And then another whole topic was breath walking, is combining walking and breathing, sniffing and sipping, and doing 2 and 2. Which is extension. Yeah. So we practice that. And
beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean,
breathing is where it's at.
We've delved into the esoteric. Mr. Will, could we finish with a jam?
That's really going far with it.
All right. I mean, you took it out, man. Playing in 2 and then
Yeah. So 6 is 6 and the 6. So we have, and let's just go back because this is an important point.
Uh-huh.
We have this thing called triplets. So triplets, I think, is something that I knew I needed to get out of my life. This whole concept of triplets. For every 1, there's 3. Now we can see where this came from, because if you actually look at, feel your heart pulse, your heart is beating at, let's say, 70 beats a minute. It's actually 70 cycles a minute. Your heart is beating at 210 beats a minute. So for every 1 beat on you're feeling on your wrist, you're getting 3 beats of your heart. 1 beat is silent, which is a quality of time, and 2 beats would be, we could describe as a love dub. So if we're doing, we can make triplets out of this. So we're doing 60, so 1 grasshopper. So here we have 60 beats per minute. It's actually 60 cycles per minute, and we can make a triplet out of it now. So it's, so this is what your heart's doing, and I can drop out one of the beats and we'll get the real love dub. Here we go.
Crank it up.
So this is actually something that I was really excited to discover, the shamanic beat. Michael Harner, in one of his books, says the shamanic beat, the straight pulse beat, shouldn't be slower than 140 beats per minute. And what this means is simply do quick math, divide that by 3, and that gets us to about 46 point something. So that would be a pretty slow human heartbeat, very, very restful, and most of us can't achieve that. So in order for the technology of, we use for healing and for shamanic traveling, we're not to go slower than 140. That makes sense to me. 40 cycles per minute is a dolphin, so 40 times 3 is 120. The blue whale is 8, so 8 cycles at 24 beats per minute. So that's just a little kind of overview of what the heart's doing. And I'm excited to be on that path, and I'd like to find people to have a conversation about it. It's pretty cool.
Lansing Day.
Yes.
Thank you, my brother.
Yeah,
and
continue,
let the body dance.
Absolutely.
Well, how do you make that? Like you're making it deeper, man. Deeper in there, man.
Start us off.
Here we go.
Okay, let's see. So let's see. So we're just starting with 2 again, and anyone who can get a hold of any sort of a frame drum. So here we have, this is, can I mention the name of who the manufacturer is?
The audience is calling for you to play.
Okay.
They want to see you play.
Let's just play. Okay, so we're just starting with 2. So we'll start again, here we go.
This is the Jake Feinberg Show. We'll see you tomorrow.